And I'll ask Rob to do a roll call for attendance.
Thank you. Trustee Apatow?
Here.
Trustee Yorsick? Here. Trustee Handler?
Here.
Trustee Dearborn?
Here.
Trustee Albinson?
Here.
Trustee Dahlman?
Here.
President Rintz.
Here. Trustee Handler has provided the required notice that she is unable to attend tonight's meeting due to work obligation. Our rules provide that Trustee Handler may participate remotely unless 2/3 of the board objects. Is there any objection? Hearing none, Trustee Handler may now participate remotely fully in the meeting, and the minutes should so reflect. Okay, item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll lead us to this evening. All right, item 3, quorum check.
Certainly. All right, the month of December is in front of us. Is there any conflicts? The meeting dates are the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. Everything look okay? All right,
So
let me
far.
know. Thank you.
All right, item 4 this evening is public comment. This is the time of the evening when anybody who wishes to may address Village Council on items that are not on the agenda. So if your item is on the agenda, you have to wait till that comes up, but if you want to talk to us about anything else, come on up to the microphone and share your thoughts.
Good evening. My name is Carolina Polo, and I live in 558 Arborvitae Road, just a block away from the planned demolition of Winnetka 1 site, now scheduled to begin in March or early April 2025. This afternoon, I spoke with David Schoen, and so today I want to bring up some concerns that we have been sharing as neighbors, just to put it on your radar screen and just to make sure that all of us are aware of some concerns. While we are all encouraged to see the progress on this long vacant property, I want to bring up a few concerns shared by many neighbors about how this process will be managed. First, pest control. We understand that the village has already requested a pest control plan from the builders, but as of now, this has not been submitted. Rodent displacement during demolitions can cause serious infestations in nearby homes, especially given that this site has been vacant for over 15 years and is surrounded by restaurants. I'd like to request that the village ensures a clear pest control plan is submitted and reviewed, and that a certification confirming the site is cleared of rats and rodents is required before work begins. Transparency in this process would reassure nearby residents and minimize the risk of our community. Second, traffic control. We appreciate that the village is requiring traffic control plan and off-site parking for the construction workers. However, neighbors have suggested additional measures, such as temporarily closing Arborvitae at Elm and designating it a two-way street for residents only during construction. I'd like to know if there will be opportunities for community input on traffic management plans before they are finalized. Finally, dust and air quality. It's good to hear that a plan will be required to minimize dust during demolition, including the use of large hoses to keep the site wet. Ensuring that these measures are implemented effectively will be critical to protecting the health and quality of life of those living nearby, especially the asbestos test that we are requesting. We want to make sure that all of that is clean. While we are eager to see progress on this project, it's important that it's done in a way that minimizes disruption and protects the well-being of those living near the site. With the project start now delayed to early spring, we have time to make sure that these concerns are addressed proactively. Thank you for your time and for considering these points.
Thank you. We'll have staff get back to you on the items that you raised this evening, okay? Thanks. Would anybody else like to address council? Seeing none, we will close public comment and move forward with reports. First is trustees. We'll start with Tina.
Yes, I do have a report. It's the holiday season.
Is this a repeat or?
Well, it's a slight repeat, but there's some new items. As we get close to the holiday season, want to remind everybody that the Red Invitation Sale for local merchants begins December 15th and runs through the 17th. Or, I'm sorry, 5th through the 7th. My goodness. So December 5th through 7th. For those of you who may have gone up to Hubbard Woods, you may have noticed some new visitors. 30 adorable nutcrackers are gracing our beautiful village, and I encourage you all to get up to Hubbard Woods and see it. Also, this week, Smith's, the men's store, is opening on Thursday. There's a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. So unfortunately, I have a speaking engagement that I'm not able to attend, so I encourage as many people to attend as possible. And then next Wednesday, Smiles and Styles is opening up. It's a women's boutique. They're actually open. I think their ribbon cutting is next Wednesday, and they're right next to Grader's Ice Cream. So just wanted to welcome these new businesses to our village.
Awesome. Great report. Thanks, Tina. Kirk?
No report.
Bob?
No report.
Bridget? Rob?
No report, except this piece of clothing is from Smith's. I thought you'd like to know. Otherwise, none.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Kim?
No report.
Thanks, Rob. Village Attorney?
No report tonight.
Village Manager?
No report this evening.
And Village President? I have no report. Did I report on the Great Lakes Alliance the last time? Oh. Several weeks ago, I think Nick Narhi and I can't remember who else was with us that day.
Tim?
Oh, and Tim was there. Met with the Great Lakes Alliance regarding some initiatives they have on lakefront stabilization. Really interesting stuff. They're taking a very strong role in a lot of these new initiatives going on along the lakefront. And even better, they've identified funding sources for some things. So, of course, my mind has been spinning as far as what we could potentially do. And the one thing that struck me is we might start thinking about some of these street ends and how we might be able to reopen them if cash is available for that. You know, clearly it's not stuff we have in the budget now, but if we could go out and root up a couple bucks, it might be worthwhile revisiting those ideas and seeing if we could start to move in that direction.
The initial application, Tim, you might be able to add some color to this, but the initial application is for us to receive professional assistance for the pier repair at Tower and bluff stabilization by the power plant. And was there another, I think there were three, but at least two.
Yeah, it was the pier repair, and then there was some overflow into the
Right.
pond at the electric
the
plant
pump
as well.
house.
Right.
So in
Yeah.
total, in the budget, there was $1,050,000 worth of projects that we are working with the Great Lakes Compact to get funding for. So we're
Right.
hopeful that we can get funding for those projects.
No, of course. My statements were more looking to the future.
Yeah, and
for
we'll work with
potential.
them on an ongoing basis for on additional initiatives as well. So it's not just a one and done.
No, and they seemed really desirous to understand what the needs of all the communities were.
Yep.
So, you know, this is the time for us to do it. And certainly our capital projects that have been programmed are really important first. But it sounded to me like there's going to be a somewhat steady flow here. And
Yeah.
if we can hop on the bandwagon and succeed more than once, that would be a great thing.
That would be great.
I thought it was a great, really forward-thinking report, that the way they're thinking about the shoreline and everything. Really well done.
Yeah. Yeah, the report was amazing,
Yeah.
actually. And interestingly enough, it was produced by our friends at Baird. So, again, showing their muscle and their ability to focus on regional issues. So really appreciate that. Thanks, Tim.
Sure.
All right, next item is the establishment of the consent agenda. Does any trustee wish to remove any of the items on the consent agenda for a separate vote? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the final form of the agenda?
So moved. Second?
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 7 is the approval of the consent agenda, and I'll ask the village manager to read those items.
Thank you. Approval of the warrant list dated October 19th, 2024 through November 14th, 2024 in the amount of $758,195.24, and approval of village council meeting schedule for 2025, and that is that for consent.
Great, thanks, Rob. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda by omnibus vote?
So moved.
That's a roll call vote.
Trustee Alvinson?
Yes.
Trustee Orsic? Trustee Handler?
Yes.
Trustee Dearborn?
Yes.
Trustee Dahlman?
Yes.
Trustee Apatow?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 8 this evening, ordinances and resolutions. Item A is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 village budget. A public hearing on the budget for fiscal year 2025 has been advertised for tonight's meeting. Village Council discussed the proposed budget at a public meeting on November 1st, an all-day meeting, I might add, and will take public comment tonight. The public hearing on the proposed budget is now open, and Finance Director Tim Sloth is going to provide an overview of the budget ordinances and resolutions on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Per the Budget Act, which the village functions, the annual budget must be adopted before commencement of the fiscal year. And as part of that process, under Section 8-2-9 of the Illinois Municipal Code, we are to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget. We published a notice of the public hearing in the November 7th issue of the Chicago Tribune, and a detailed copy of the budget is available online in the transparency section, at the library, and here at Village Hall as well. The Village Council held an all-day public meeting, as President Rintz referenced, on November 1st, and updated again on the budget on November 12th. And a few key facts regarding the proposed 2025 budget. First and foremost, the 2025 budget is balanced, meaning that routine annual operating expenditures are paid for by routine annual operating revenues. We do not rely on any one-time revenue source or the use of fund balance to pay for regular recurring operating expenses. All in, the budget totals $94,251,924, which represents a decrease of 7.6% because of decreased capital spending due to the completion of the stormwater storage project. The proposed budget includes an operating increase of 2.2%. The capital portion of the budget totals $22.98 million and provides funding for major capital initiatives, including $2.1 million towards roadway, sidewalk, and trails, $2.6 million in stormwater infrastructure, $2.9 million towards downtown revitalization, $4.8 million in electric utility infrastructure, $2.6 million in water main replacements, $685,000 in lead service line replacements, and $3.8 million in other capital and infrastructure improvements. Included for consideration tonight is the rate resolutions. There's resolutions R-85 2024 and R-84 2024. For the general fees rate resolution, there was no significant changes compared to the previous year. In the utility fees, there were some key changes, and they're outlined as follows. Electric rates are proposed to increase 7.25%, dedicated to fund capital requirements, with a typical resident paying about $18.75 more per month, or $225 on an annual basis. Water rates are proposed to increase 10%, again, dedicated to fund water main replacements and anticipated lead service line replacements in 2025. Sanitary sewer rates are proposed to increase 4.95%, again, dedicated to fund capital requirements, with the typical resident paying $1.92 per month or $23 a year. And refuse rates proposed to increase 3.5%, with the typical customer paying about $1.33 a month or $16 a year. In the refuse, there is also a proposed increase of 5% in the commercial rates as well, due to the increased costs incurred from the recycling contract. There are no increases proposed for the stormwater rates. So that's in total, the typical resident would pay about $39 more a month for the proposed fee increases and the property tax levy. M-14 ordinance, M-14 2024 is the property tax levy. For this year, the property tax levy totals $16,298,997. The tax levy captures a new development of 0.482% and includes an inflationary component of 2.95%, which continues the trend of being under the tax cap limit of 3.4%. In total, a typical homeowner will see property taxes paid to the village increase by $85 annually, or $7 a month. The property tax is a major funding source of the village's general fund and accounts for approximately 50% of revenue within that fund. And with the general fund being the village's main operating account, is the primary source for major village services, including police, fire, maintaining the village streets, snow plowing, economic development. It's, the general fund. The property tax also funds the village's fire and police pension funds as well. It should be noted that the village, while not obligated, has maintained tax levies since 2005 that has been less than the state tax cap law. So cumulatively, since 2005, we have levied $23.4 million less than the tax cap. And finally, the abatement ordinance. The village is abating the property tax on its outstanding stormwater bonds as it continues to use stormwater utility fees collected to pay those obligations versus the property tax. So in the absence of abating the taxes, the stormwater would automatically increase the taxes. So we're abating those taxes to keep the property taxes down.
Okay, any questions for Tim? All right, thanks, Tim. Is there anybody here in the room this evening who would like to comment or speak to council on the budget resolutions? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. And now I'll move forward and ask council for any comments or discussion they might want to have on the budget. I don't see anybody jumping in here. Okay, we'll
I
move
think
forward
we
then.
just kind of discussed it a lot,
Yeah,
and
we've about 12 hours on the budget so far, so I think we've said it all.
I think we found, while no one wants to see these things increase, I think we found a good balance that allows us to go forward things that the village wants, including police and other enhancements that we need to do. So I thought it was a good balance while not taking the max that we could have, I guess.
No, and I think anybody who watched or took the time to watch parts of the meeting, we do not take the idea of raising taxes very lightly at all. And it's always a struggle because we did go for 9 years running without raising the levy. But the reality of the economy and 9 years of finding every nook and cranny we could to save money, we have no choice at this point. So, especially with the requirements on public safety and the pension, the continual burden of pensions. So, all right, well, I'll go ahead and we'll get the show rolling here. May I have a motion to introduce resolution number R83, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one carries. Resolution number R84, 2024, establishing rates and fees related to utility service. This is up for introduction. Any discussion on the rates? The only thing I have to say is when people hear those percentages, it might startle them somewhat, but rest assured that we are still very, 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 probably in the bottom third on water rates. Our electric rates continue to be competitive with Commonwealth Edison. Personally, I have a sneaking suspicion that the bubble is going to burst in Springfield, and all those poor people being served by ComEd are going to end up paying for it at some point.
This is mainly infrastructure.
Right.
So we have old infrastructure that needs constant attention.
Exactly. And, it's interesting that we've always had this pay-as-you-go philosophy. And it works great until you have major projects that you have to do, and then we find ourselves scrambling. And the good news is we put the water system now on a regular cycle of replacement, so we won't end up having to do these 8% raises annually for 5 years running to get where we need to be. So Rob has done a great job looking forward and putting things in place that'll make sure that some of this stuff smooths out over time, and we won't have to keep coming back for more. So, all right. Let's see now. So that's, where am I at? 84, right? May I have a motion to introduce resolution number R84, 2024?
So moved. Second.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Resolution number R85, 2024, amending general building and miscellaneous service fees. May I have a motion to introduce resolution number R85, 2024?
So moved. Second.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one carries. Next item is item B, property tax levy and abatement ordinances. This is ordinance number M14, 2024, levying taxes for the year 2024. It's up for discussion. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number M14, 2024?
So moved.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Whew. One more. No, there's more than one more. Ordinance number M15, 2024, abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2024 to pay the principal and interest on the taxable general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2020 of the Village of Winnetka, Cook County, Illinois. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number M15, 2024?
So moved.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And we will see these next time on the consent.
It should be consent for approval.
Great, awesome. All right, moving along, the next item on the agenda is resolution number R79, 2024, approving a lease agreement with Hofer Meat Depot for a portion of 754 Elm Street. This is up for adoption. Tonight, council will consider a lease agreement with Hofer Meat Depot to operate a deli specialty grocer shop here in Winnetka. And our Economic Development Coordinator, Liz DeChant, is here to walk us through this one. Take it away, Liz.
Hi. Good evening. Tonight, the Village Council will consider introduction and approval of a lease agreement with the Hofer Meat Company to open Hofer Meat Depot. The Village of Winnetka has an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad to manage the Elm Street Metro Station. The space Cafe Florette occupies measures 120 square feet. Amenities include stainless steel counters, a locking retractable gate, a hand sink, a 3-compartment sink, a grease trap, and 2 service windows, one inside the station lobby and the other outside facing the parking lot. Cafe Florette has operated in the space since 2012, when Village Council chose it to run a coffee and pastry shop in response to a request for proposal to fill the renovated space. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, Cafe Florette was open 6 days a week. In 2021, owner Rachel Beaudry sold the business to Winnetka resident John McGrath, who is here tonight. Wave. There's John. Cafe Florette is now open 1 day a week for pre-order pickups. They also run a booth at the Winnetka Farmers Market for 22 weeks a year between June and October. The business is very popular, but it is not the only job that John has, and he is looking to sell the business. I've been working to more fully activate the train station space now that commuters have returned at least 3 days a week to nearly pre-COVID levels. And since part of my job is to recruit new businesses and talking to folks, I hear from a lot of Winnetka residents they want a butcher shop and specifically Hofer Meats. So I've been working with owners Sean and Ariel Hofer, who are here tonight, since 2022 to find the right space for them in town to expand. They currently own a butcher shop and deli located at 300 Hap Road in Northfield. And in Sean and Ariel's request for a smaller second location, there is an opportunity for them and Cafe Florette and the Village at the train station. Hofer's proposal is to purchase Cafe Florette and incorporate that menu into the Hofer Meat Depot, which they'll operate in the existing space. And this is a new concept. It will be a quick-serve food stand for both commuters and residents. It will also serve as a smaller version of Hofer Meats, where a curated selection of items will be available for pickup and ordering 6 days a week. The village staff proposes a 1-year lease term with 2 options to renew and to continue the current lease of $300 a month. Employees will receive Zone A parking permits, like staff from Cafe Florette and Zengler Cleaner and the Chamber. The curb in front of the station is signed as 5-minute only parking, and it's long enough to accommodate multiple cars, even during morning and afternoon pickup and drop-off. We don't anticipate there being any parking problems, as Hofer estimates the average customer visit will take less than 5 minutes. There's additional customer parking on Lincoln Avenue with access over the commuter bridge and along Green Bay Road. So with that, I will turn it over to Sean and Ariel, who plan to tell you why they want to open in Winnetka, why in that space in particular, and specifically what they plan to offer.
Pulling out the food cart is cheating.
I wish I was there.
I know, Kim, we're so sorry.
I didn't eat dinner tonight, so.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Hofer from Hofer Meat Company. This is my wife,
Ariel Hofer.
and we thank you, for the opportunity to present to you this evening. So basically, this was always something I started out in my career as a butcher, based on the fact that I had gone down to school in Champaign. I came back. My parents had a friend, Glenn Kiefer, who was opening a restaurant in the early 2000s down in the city at Kinsey and Dearborn. And we went there. It was our tradition to go for New Year's Eve dinner. And I was introduced at that dinner to Glenn. My mom said, "He really wants to work here." I said, "Thanks, Mom." And Glenn said, "Really? Okay, well, follow me." And he took me into the kitchen, introduced me to chef at the time, John Hogan. And John Hogan never really looked up at me or anything, but he said, "Yeah, if he ever wants to work here, sure, no problem. Kind of get out of my kitchen." And that was that. But Glenn said, "If you ever want, you can contact me." And I ended up, it was my 21st birthday 3 months later in March, and went there for my 21st birthday. I decided at that point, a few weeks later, I was going to call him with the summer coming up, and I started in May of 2001. I worked there from spring of 2001 until spring of 2005. And I went from Windexing menus to the front. And at the end of my time there, I was running their cafe as well as their catering arm. And I realized, I want to do this as a career, but I kind of like the idea of a 9-to-5 a little bit better. So I talked to my dad and I said, let me try, something else before I really make the commitment to working in the restaurant industry. So I started working for Harris Bank downtown. And in that time, I was transferred up to Lake Forest, did about a 4.5-year stint there, about a 6-month stint right here in this building, where it had become BMO at that point. And kind of about halfway through my time at the bank, I started writing a business plan for Hofer Meat Company. But during that entire time, from 2001 all the way to the end of my time working at Harris Bank, BMO, I was a commuter on the Metro line. I grew up in Northfield, was born in Edison Park. We moved here in 1984. My father worked down on LaSalle Street and commuted out of this train station right here for over 30 years. So the idea was we were going to have the butcher shop in Northfield because it was in my DNA. It was something that I viewed as a way to stay, in the restaurant business, in the food service hospitality, and work a 9-to-5. Not true. We've developed a catering arm. We do pig roasts. They say if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. I don't really subscribe to that because you can love what you do, but it's still work. We've now been operating in Northfield for, it will be 11 years in March. when the thoughts have come up to expand, it's always been looking at who our core customer group is. And really that starts with Northfield, it starts with the 6093. And I know, Lakeside for a number of years always had a great butcher shop, but there's never really been a dedicated meat shop here. And, we have commitments to our place in Northfield, but I think that this was a perfect opportunity for us to, expand our footprint, kind of get closer to where a lot of our customers are, where also, it goes basically from Northfield to Winnetka, Glencoe, and then north to there, and then west to Northbrook. That's kind of our core area. So we're very, excited for this opportunity, and we see it just as maybe like, dipping your toes in the pool with the eventuality of maybe being able to swim in the shallow end and then all the way to the deep end, diving board, everything, Liz has been so great talking to us about this and kind of shepherding us through the process. But really, it's also been with John, the idea that there was already something established there that people enjoy, and there are ways for us to incorporate their offerings while also using this as like the perfect way for people to, as they're commuting, say, hey, what are we doing for dinner? Well, I can stop off, talk to the people at Hofer, place an order, and then, the Northfield shop is at that point kind of the commissary, where then we can bring the stuff that was ordered at the beginning of the day over for somebody to pick up at the end of their business day, things like that, while also offering, commuter staples, grab-and-go stuff, all the way to if you're heading up to Ravinia, charcuterie trays, things like that, but like snacks, breakfast sandwiches, pastries, little bags of chips. We're excited because the Record North Shore is starting to have like a print edition in Wilmette that they're working with a coffee shop there. And I started talking with Joe just last week, where we would like to be kind of their Winnetka offering of that, their hub for that. Because in my opinion, and I know my father will agree to this, a newspaper is an accessory on Metro. And it's depending if you're a Sun-Times reader or a Tribune writer, or a Tribune reader, you would go to the top, because then you could take all the sections of the Tribune and drape them over the railing, and it would just be like your little space with your curtains. So, the idea is we're going to be very organic in how we run it. I think out of the box, there's going to be taking a lot of feedback from the commuters, seeing how they're going to feel about different things, what we offer. We might even go to the point where we have, comment cards, a suggestion box. We're really looking at this as more or less a blank canvas from which to offer, what we do well and offer it to commuters and, people in Winnetka to not even have to drive across the Edens, So I think that we do a lot of our meats, our smoked products. At any given time, we're doing probably 30 some odd different sausages that we make in-house. We have a vacuum sealing system. So we plan on having like a small case where we'll have, stuff like our cherry cheddar brats, some steaks, things like that people can grab, a la minute, on the fly. They don't really have to meal plan for that. But if they wanted something larger or something very specific, it's something that they could place really that day and be able to pick up later in the day, which I think is a very unique thing. Then beyond that, we'll also have, some prepared things. There'll be breakfast pastries, coffee. I have this this dream really where, especially during the winter, which 9 months of the year around here, we're going to be doing like flavored broths, you know, where it'll be like a really nice hearty chicken broth where we can infuse it with like ginger and lemongrass, things like that, herbs, and you can get it in a coffee cup, you know, with a sleeve. And like, you know, it won't have your caffeine, but something nourishing, something nice to, you know, sip hot on your commute like that. A daily sandwich special, the soup of the moment. I don't want to call it the soup of the day, just the soup of the moment, you know, whatever's good. We have a large frozen food section at the shop where we basically have about 30 some odd soups that we make in-house. That was like one of my first actual things that they charged me with beyond doing the peeling of potatoes and cutting of onions at Kiefer's. Soups, so that was great. And yeah, so we're very excited for that. And which one?
The charcuterie pie.
Well, yeah, so Aiden, my sous chef here, has been hard at work assembling kind of the idea of these grab-and-go charcuterie trays that everyone has in front of them, where, you know, that's something with Ravinia, but it's also just like a nice snack thing that you can grab, take. It's something that can sit in your fridge at work. You can eat it, you know, for breakfast, lunch, mid-afternoon snack, whatever you want. But then we can also do larger format things like that, where if somebody were to order that and they had a group that was heading, you know, to Ravinia, something like that, they could pick it up like that, grab it on the way. So that's another exciting thing. So basically, I'll kind of at that point pass to Ariel for anything I missed, but
He did an excellent job of covering the items that were on my agenda. At this point would be the time I'd ask if anyone had any questions for us or things we could answer.
Have at it, guys.
I'm just wondering what kind of signage you'll have. I want to make sure that people know you're there and that you offer different things. Do you have a plan for that?
So we do. We have a sign company that we work with out of Highwood, and you know, we know that there is the, I guess you call it the canopy there, but we're just gonna kind of start off with like a sandwich board out there and kind of go from there and figure out exactly where we wanted the signage to be. I know that, you know, the signage on there is peeling a little bit, so I need to figure out exactly how that gets replaced or redone or what it would be.
These charcuterie are really cute, but I think to make a decision, we're gonna have to see the T-bone steaks tonight.
I brought a couple steaks and some sausages.
No, I'm kidding, please.
I asked if I could bring the grill in, and I was told that there was no exhaust.
It is very fun with Hofer Meats. When my son-in-law moved back during COVID with my daughter from New York, he was very snobby about the New York butchers, and there was no sign of life here on the North Shore until he went to your shop. So then it was accepted. He now is a Hofer's addict, and it is now acceptable for him to move back to the North Shore of Chicago.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, full disclosure, I'm getting my turkey from you on Tuesday.
Awesome.
And thank you for brining it ahead of time, since I'm always afraid of the biohazard of doing it at home.
Thank you.
But, you know, I think, obviously, you've done a great job. You know, excited for this to come to Winnetka. At this point, do you feel like you're going to be able to staff it during the full day? And, you know, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know Cafe Florette would be open for a couple hours in the morning, you know, on the 6 days when they were open. Just kind of curious your thinking there.
Yes. So kind of the exciting thing about this is, and I can definitely speak for Ariel on this, is at our current location, we don't really there's not really like a place to sit and do paperwork that you can also be customer facing. So we're looking at this as it's Ariel's office. In addition to, you know, where she'd be the face over there a lot, you know. Aiden has experience with like retail, like this grab and go type stuff. It really, it's going to, we're going to be able to utilize it to the fullest extent of what it is, because really of the idea of some solitude over there for Ariel to do some paperwork.
We could see, what times are the busiest times, see when it gets into a lull, and kind of figure out what works in terms of having an additional staff member on site, which we definitely will be able to handle.
Yeah, that's kind of the beautiful thing about the idea of the train station is you can kind of bank on when your foot traffic is happening, because the schedule's right there in front of you. So.
Sounds good.
Well, I was just going to say, of course, thank you for being creative, Liz. Thanks for thinking outside the box here and bringing Hofer meat to the community. This has been percolating for a while, I think. We've heard off and on about it, and once again, another feather in your cap, Liz. Great job. Thank you.
I'm excited,
Yeah, we all are.
and so is my wife. She told me to say hi when I walked out the door today, so.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, well, let's see if we can move this along. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number R79, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
That's a roll call vote.
Trustee Albinson?
Yes.
Trustee Dahlman?
Yes.
Trustee Apatoff?
Yes.
Trustee Orsic?
Yes.
Trustee Handler?
Yes.
Trustee Dearborn?
Yes.
That motion carries. Good luck. We're looking
you.
forward to it.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
I do have one question. I'm sorry. When does this happen?
The lease is scheduled to start Jan 1.
Yeah, we anticipate starting to get things moving January 1st and then open by February 1st.
Yeah, that's exactly the timeline. We're in turkey mode right now, and I've been smoking turkeys now for the past like 4 or 5 days. I just took a shower and it smelled like hickory wood. So we're gonna be really getting into the space directly after the holidays. But in the meantime, doing little things. But we've been working on it, we've got all like it's going to be once we're in, it'll be very quick. So February 1st is probably.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank
We'll all see you soon. All right, let's see if we can polish this off. Number 9, old business, none. New business, none. Appointments, none. Closed session, none. And adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
That's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thanks.